Happy Wednesday, Facebook, welcome. I hope you're each having a phenomenal day and a great start to your evening. Tonight, we are going to dive into some quick, simple differences between the oh-so-delicious and oh-so-fatty egg yolk and then the oh-so-bodybuilding or diet staple brethren, the egg white. Far too long, there has been too much controversy, questioning, and confusion between the two. I hope that in the next few minutes, I can clear up some questions, answer any questions you have, address any comments or concerns, and finally give you the facts on egg yolks versus egg whites. Now, let's break them down into their two constituent parts. The egg white, it's basically just protein, water, and a couple other nutrients. There's not much to it. In fact, one large egg white is going to provide a whopping 15 to 18 calories, depending on where you check your nutrition information from. Not much to it. But there's a lot of pros to eating egg whites, as what we'll address here in a couple minutes. The egg yolk, on the other hand, is much more nutrient dense compared to the egg white. That's where you're going to find, as again, more protein, roughly the same amount of protein in the yolk versus the white, maybe slightly more as you get into bigger eggs, especially some of those like ostrich eggs, or I think that's what it was. Their yolks are like this freaking big. It's ridiculous. But we're talking about normal standard eggs. Now, with that said, we've got delicious protein. This is where we have tons of our fat. It is primarily saturated fat, which we'll address in a minute, as well as your fat-soluble vitamins A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K are in there, some choline and other trace amounts of important vitamins and minerals. So a lot more going on in terms of nutrient content in the yolk versus the egg, and one large egg in total, so we've got yolk plus egg white, is going to contain about 70 calories. So if we do a little bit of quick math, you'll find that the egg yolk itself has anywhere from 50 to 55 calories, 3.5 times the amount of calories versus the egg white. So let's talk about integrating them into your nutrition approach. Now, egg whites are obviously the favorite when it comes to dieting, when you're trying to save calories, achieve weight loss, anything in that realm, however you like to quantify or label it. Because they provide so few calories, yet they have the potential, oh, what's up, Jeanette, to provide so much volume of food. And we've talked at great length before about the advantages of choosing high-volume foods or building high-volume meals that fill and expand your stomach at the expense of a little bit of calories. And egg whites allow you to do just that. Whether you throw them in shakes, yes, shakes. You eat the pasteurized forms in the shake form as well. They have those, I think it's like muscle egg. You can pump out like liquid egg whites that are flavored. Pretty good, actually. If you throw them into a pan to make an egg white omelet, that sucker blows up and you find yourself with an overwhelming amount of food for very little calories. Now, I'm a big fan of mixing and matching, but let's talk about the egg yolk. First and foremost, you do not need to be afraid of the saturated fat in the egg yolk. Even if you have high cholesterol levels, you don't need to be afraid of the cholesterol or the saturated fat found in eggs. Saturated fat is not nearly as bad as people once believed it to be. In the 70s and 80s, it was touted as the devil. If you have too many eggs or too much saturated fat, you're going to have heart disease and live a terrible life. That's not the case. Within the last 5 to 10 years, further review of that 70s and 80s research as well as new research together have shown light on the positive aspects of saturated fat to show that, hey, it's not so bad after all. In fact, it has many health benefits to it, most notably having a positive impact on hormone and vitamin production, testosterone, muscle building, very important there, but also that it can be converted into a neutral form of fat in the body and have no detrimental effects on your cholesterol or your blood triglycerides or blood fat levels. Keep that in mind. And furthermore, expanding one step on cholesterol is heavily influenced by your genetics. Sure, if you eat a dozen eggs a day, probably not the best decision for your cholesterol levels, but in small amounts, you can absolutely enjoy eggs. Heck, you can enjoy an egg or two a day. Again, always consult with your physician to get his or her opinion on the matter as well, but 1 or 2 eggs a day is not the reason you have high cholesterol. It's likely a combination of genetics, diet history, weight history, nutrition history, exercise history, and all the above factors. So keep that in mind. Now, when you're incorporating eggs, which one large egg has about 5 grams of fat, you do need to be mindful that if you have an omelet, that this fat can add up quickly because, let's be honest, An omelet needs cheese, it needs bacon, it needs steak, it needs ham. It needs all the good stuff, the sour cream, the avocado. So just be mindful that the egg in its entirety, particularly the yolk, is a significant source of fat. It is fine. You don't have to label it as good or bad fat. It is fat. It is saturated fat. Has some good things about it. Just like anything, when you have way too much of it, it can have some detrimental effects. But you need not worry about having eggs throughout the week or even a couple eggs throughout the day. If you're worried, however, about your calories, about your fat intake, but you still want the oh-so-delicious flavor of the egg, try making omelets or egg concoctions and scrambles with half egg whites and half egg yolks. You'll get more food volume with the egg whites at the expense of fewer calories and less fat throughout that meal. With that said, I love making omelets. I love having eggs hard boiled. There are a variety of ways that you can include eggs into your day, but the take-home points are this. Egg whites, very low calorie, great source of high quality protein, about 17 calories per large egg white. Not too much else to it. Protein, water, a few nutrients. Egg yolks have more fat, more calories, as well as more nutrients. Both work great together. Both can fit into your nutrition plan, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, or maintain weight. Enjoy the eggs. Have an excellent rest of your evening, and I'll see you next week. Yeah, I went there.